Well, howdy, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. I am your host, Peg. Happy daylight savings time. How's everyone feeling out there? Woo! Tell you what, I woke up this morning and wanted to call in dead. Just kidding. But I got a second wind, and now that we've got light at the end of the day, it's so bright out in the evening. How wonderful is that? I guess it's worth the price we pay in that lost hour. But hey, guys, so today's March 9th, and a little bit behind in bringing you the full slate of new history releases in March 2026, at least the history releases that have come across the desk here at the History Shelf. So I'm going to show you that, and I will warn you that in April, I might have to have a two-part video. There's so many releases coming out in April. But I've got a fairly good stack here for March, and I have a giveaway. And I am saving those until the very end of the video. So you can either fast forward or hang with me while I show you this beautiful little bevy of new March history releases. Okay, so there'll be two books that I'll be doing a giveaway for. In one of those books, I have two copies of, and these are the advanced reading copies. Okay, so these are not like finished copies, but if you don't mind reading arcs, and a lot of people don't, then if they're free, you really don't mind, then stick around, because in effect, I'll be giving away 3 books. So without further ado, and by the way, there's my nifty little tag there. All right, we're going to start with this book, which actually I'm going to start reading this probably tonight. I'll be reviewing it, and for a main online publisher and print publisher, but it's an anonymous review, so I can't really say with the publication. Just trust me, I'm reviewing it and writing a review. But it looks pretty good. Interesting cover. This is America's Founding Son, John Quincy Adams, from president to political maverick. Look at that. It kind of has like a cartoonish look on the front. But I guess it's better than, just the old boring, paintings or whatnot. Let's get into the meat of this. And I apologize. I'm a little bit rusty. I feel I haven't made a video and feel like it's been 2 weeks. It's just been busy. All right, let me give you a heads up on what this book will be covering. But yeah, everything down here is just waiting to be filmed. I have a lot of books to bring you. All right. Oh, this is interesting. An accessible and entertaining biography of our nation's greatest public servant and original political maverick, John Quincy Adams. Now get this, from the bassist of the Grammy-nominated band, the Avett Brothers. So Bob Crawford, did I mention that it's Bob Crawford who wrote this? But it's Bob Crawford. And it says right there, I don't know why, but bassist for the Avett Brothers and co-host of the Road to Now podcast. And this book is coming out from Zando Publishers, an independent publisher. That might explain the kind of fun, I don't want to say frivolous, but it's kind of, lighthearted cover. All right, let's see what we got here. During the tumultuous period between the era of the Founding Fathers and the disunion of the Civil War, John Quincy Adams was the man standing in the breach. After an unsuccessful presidential re-election campaign, he was left reckoning with his political legacy. But Adams would be dragged back into the fray in ways he never expected, pitting him against slavocracy and Southern congressmen, and solidifying him as a key ally to the anti-slavery cause. America's Founding Son tells the tale of Adams's turbulent government career and his evolving views on slavery. Adams, along with lesser-known abolitionists Benjamin Lundy and Theodore Weld, I'm very familiar with Theodore Weld, though, found himself at the center of the coalition that leveled the first blow against slave power in the U.S. The battles they fought would be foundational in the push for emancipation to follow. An entertaining deep dive into an underexplored period in American history, America's Founding Son shows how JQ, John Quincy, and the grassroots activism of the 1830s and 40s shifted American politics forever. Oh, that's fantastic. I know Bill Rutenberg would love this. I know that the 1830s, 40s, and 50s, he says many times it's one of his favorite periods. And interesting, we have original kind of sketched artwork in here. Oh, I love. Check that out. I'll have to include this in my review, that there's actual original line art in here. Very cool. Have fun. All right. So anyway, yeah, this is on my docket for a review. And my review is actually due next Monday. So it's not a big book. Minus it's about 280 pages. So not a problem. I'll get this done this week, along with all my other books I'm trying to finish. Again, America's Founding Son from Zando, by Bob Crawford, the bassist of the Abbott Brothers. Is that a country band? I don't know. Anyway, from Zando Books. Oh, I should have said this. And it comes out tomorrow. Tomorrow is the release date. So perfect timing, March 10th. This is coming out. Look for it. Okay. And it is windy here in Colorado. It is just, the wind is crazy. But get this, guys, March 9th, 74 degrees here. Can you believe that? Let me go ahead and just check my my weather app while we're here. Yeah, high is 74 today. It's going to be 74 tomorrow, but very, very windy. We get lots of wind out here in Colorado, so I'm not a big fan of wind. Okay. Now this book is coming out at the end of the month from Knopf Publishers, and this looks very interesting. I was hoping to review it for Shelf Awareness. I ran out of time. I have to get these. I have to file these reviews a month before the publication date. And with February being a short month, there was no way I could read this and get it done by February 28th. But it's still one I want to read, because you know how I love reading Russian history. And this is A Kingdom and a Village, a 1,000-year history of Moscow by Simon Morrison. Again, coming out from Knopf Publishers. Let's see here. This is an erudite and entertaining history of Moscow, a city whose rich history offers crucial insight into contemporary global politics. The city of Moscow, I gotta pick one and stick with it, Peg. The city of Moscow stands at the center of a nation comprising 11% of the globe's landmass, 11 time zones, and nearly 150 million people, some 13 million of whom live in the capital. In A Kingdom and a Village, acclaimed historian Simon Morrison offers a vividly rendered history of Russia's heart and soul, tracing its transformation from a big village, the demeaning nickname the St. Petersburg nobility gave to its provincial neighbor, into a spectacular metropolis of vast geopolitical import. That arc is the stuff of dramatic, violent, stranger-than-fiction historical narrative. The last century alone has featured invasions and costly battles, the destruction and reconstruction of sacred cultural and religious landmarks, and the collapse of the Soviet Republic, not to mention the rise of an authoritarian leader who is a keen student of Russian history. Morrison reaches back to the city's founding as a fortress on a river nearly a millennium ago. In the centuries that followed, any number of external forces, from Tatar Mongols and Swedes to Napoleon and Hitler, set their sights on Moscow, bolstering its self-conception as both a glittering prize and a site of perpetual defense and resurrection. Drawing on a rich array of archival materials, Morrison makes a persuasive, even impassioned case that to understand Moscow is not only to unlock the spellbinding mysteries of Russia's past, but also to grasp the grim logic of its present. Indeed. Yeah, that's pretty critical. It is a magisterial biography of a place, and an essential guide to people and a nation. So I bet this would be fantastic in a finished, in its finished version. It's probably going to have a lot of photos. This is just the ARC, so I don't have a lot to look at here as far as, whatever extras this book is going to include, but a lot of in-depth endnotes. So minus all that, it's about a 400-page read. But again, it's a book I'll be reading because I love Russian history, as you know. Again, so March 31st from Knopf Publishers. Check out A Kingdom in a Village by Simon Morrison. All right. Another book here. This one is coming out next Tuesday, March 17th. This is a book I have read and have written a review for already. Yay, for shelf awareness. So that review should be coming out soon, and I will be posting links to that on my social media. If you can just follow me on social media, you'll see all my deets below. You'll see like a picture of the book's cover. That's how you know, okay, that's where I'm posting that, hey, I've reviewed this. Go check it out. This is The Last Titans, How Churchill and de Gaulle Saved Their Nations and Transformed the World by Richard Vinan. It's coming out from Simon & Schuster. There you go. So I was reading an ARC. I hope to get a finished copy. I thought it was pretty good, actually. Oh, yeah. Lots of annotations in here. I pulled out just about everything in this book. And the funny thing is I when I'm reviewing books, I don't take into consideration, as far as my annotation goes, if you're curious how I review books, the things I look for. When I have an ARC, I easily mark it up with underlining quotes in the margins, or not quotes, but just, thoughts, let me go there, that kind of stuff. Like I question it. I'm like, why not? Or this, or this is what I do. Now, depending on where the review runs, I have a word limit for my reviews. So I have to be very, very targeted in what I will pull from the book to use in the review. If it's a long form review, which for long is about 700, 800 words, and that's usually for book browse review. In a couple other places, I might max out around 5 to 6. But if it's for like shelf awareness, I have a very strict 250 word count that I have to meet. So with all the cool observations and notes and just facts that I've learned from this book, they don't make it into the review, but I do have to pick out the main theme or the argument that's being made, and how well the historian or the writer does it. So anyway, that review is coming out soon, but let me go ahead and read to you the back of the book here. So they're calling this a compelling dual biography of Churchill and de Gaulle. All right. Soldiers, writers, orators, and thinkers, Winston Churchill and Charles de Gaulle were the rare politicians whose lives and characters continue to fascinate even those without an interest in politics. The two men were also among the most consequential people ever to rule a democratic country. They personified the determination to resist Hitler during the darkest days of 1940. And in London on June 18th of that year, they separately delivered two of the most famous speeches in history. It was then that Churchill referred to Britain's finest hour, and that de Gaulle called on his countrymen to continue their resistance. Neither man, however, was just a war leader. Churchill's political career extended over more than 60 years, while de Gaulle became the architect of post-war France. Each did much, for better and for worse, to mold the world that we live in today. Both were central actors in the most compelling geopolitical drama of modern times. As Britain and France, the two greatest imperial powers that the world had ever seen, sought new roles after the loss of their empires. Both leaders were intensely conscious of themselves and of each other as men who would one day be written about by historians. Churchill described de Gaulle as, quote, the man of destiny, end quote. De Gaulle wrote that Churchill was, quote, the great artist of a great history, end quote. In The Last Titans, Richard Vinan, who has spent a lifetime studying Britain and France, describes the intertwined lives of these two astonishing figures in a work of extraordinary narrative verve. And again, coming out March 17th from Simon & Schuster, and I have to agree, Vinan does write very mellifluously, if I can say. There's a really nice energy to this. And I have to say, I learned a lot about de Gaulle that I didn't know before. And it makes me, and I'm still trying to get my hands on a hardcover copy of Julian Jackson's massive new biography on de Gaulle that came out a few years ago. I want to get that. Yeah, but de Gaulle really intrigued me in this. They were very, very different personalities, to say the least. There was so much in here that I underlined. And it's like I almost wanted, with some of these arcs, especially with books that really impress me, especially works of history, I almost don't want to chuck the arc. If I get a finished copy, great. But I kind of want to go, I want to be able to see what notes I wrote, So I want to see what stood out to me in my underlining and stuff. So I just think it's kind of neat. So I might hang on to this and pair it up with the finished copy when I get it. So anyway, I enjoyed it and I would recommend it to all of you guys out there. And stay tuned for the written review, which will be coming out hopefully next week, next Friday-ish. All right. Now we're coming across a bunch of books that have been sent to me. I haven't had a chance to dive into yet. Let me save this one for a little later. Okay. This book just came out last week on March 3rd. This is by Jasmine Ulloa, and this is El Paso, 5 Families and 100 Years of Blood, Migration, Race, and Memory. And this is from Dutton Books. So this is out now. I'm assuming that is the final cover. Okay, let me see where I'm at with the time. That's a nice picture on the front there. El Paso, one big family, right? Or 5 families squeezed in here. Probably 5 families squeezed in here. Okay, let me get to this. El Paso has been called the Ellis Island of America's southern border, a mountain pass come border town come bifurcated metropolis where past meets future and disadvantage meets opportunity, or so the promise goes. El Paso is an extraordinary, can't look away reported history. It uses deep research and dozens of new interviews to blow away the myth of this place where Mexico's Juarez and America's El Paso intertwine. It charts the history of El Paso through 5 families, from the Mexican Revolution and the Mexican repatriation to the shifting immigration laws under Reagan and Trump, to the violence and bloodshed brought on by the drug war. El Paso captures a place often misunderstood or forgotten by the rest of the country and the world. This is also a brave new work of narrative nonfiction that gives a new voice and perspective to history that has long been checked at the border or told through the lens of white men alone. Ulloa draws upon meticulous research and reporting as well as stunning historical detail to craft the intimate narratives of an unforgettable cast of characters. I guess she's Jasmine Ulloa. Our writer here is a national reporter for the New York Times. She's done a lot of other reporting in other locations. So this is interesting. Any El Paso viewers out there? It's already out. I was going to say coming your way, but it's already out. Yeah, this sounds really good. I'll be checking this one out. Okay, so that's out now from Dutton Books. Okay, then moving on. When does this book out? Oh, this is a different type of book. Now, it's something I'm used to reading, but I'll check it out. This is from St. Martin's Press. Okay, and this book comes out next week, March 17th. And this is The Feather Wars and the Great Crusade to Save America's Birds. There we go. That's wild. All right, let's hold this up for you. From the time the country was founded, early Americans assumed that the land's natural resources were infinite, including its birds, which were zealously hunted for food, game, and fashion. With the rapid extinction of the passenger pigeon, a bird once so numerous that its flocks darkened the sky in flight, many realized actions needed to be taken if other birds were to be saved. What followed was both a spiritual awakening and a great crusade to save birds and their habitat. The campaign took place on many battlefields: society teas in Boston, hunt clubs on the East Coast, the mangroves in the Everglades, and in the editorial pages of newspapers and periodicals. From many corners of the country, the bird protection movement was born and brought together a remarkable coalition of people and organizations to save America's birds. Oh, cool. Martina and I, we have birds, bird feeders out back, the bird bath. We even bought a heater that kind of plugs in, and you kind of, lay it in the bottom of the thing so the water won't freeze in the winter. So that we love our birds. So this will be a fun read. I bet you Martine would like to read this. So The Feather Wars is an entertaining and expansive work of American history, a story about how disparate characters, progressive politicians, free-thinking society belles, nature writers and artists, bird-loving U.S. presidents, gun makers, business titans, and brave game wardens came together to save hundreds of species of birds. Heroes, martyrs, villains, and conflicted do-gooders, the early bird conservation movement had them all. Together, they transformed how Americans thought and cared about birds, forever altering the American landscape. Isn't that fun? We got some photos kind of thrown in throughout. I'm guessing that'll be the same as in the finished copy. But how fun! Like I said, I haven't read a lot of books, like history books about preservation or saving threatened species and stuff like that. So the Feather Wars, plus our love of our birdies out back, this should be fun. So March 17th from St. Martin's Press. Did I mention, I keep forgetting to say again, guys, I need sleep. This daylight savings thing is killing me. The writer here is James H. McCommons. I've never heard that name before. He's a professor emeritus at Northern Michigan University. Woo! And a veteran journalist specializing in ecology, environmental, and travel topics. Interesting. Okay. All right. So, yeah, The Feather Wars by James H. McCommons. Coming soon. All right. Oh, and I don't know if I have a finished copy of this yet. I think I was offered this. I think I might have it downstairs, actually. But here's the arc of, and if I do have a finished copy, I might be giving this one away in the next video. I'm trying to spread the wealth and share the love. But here's a great author. I've got a couple of his books. His previous book, Year Zero, I need to get to. I've been wanting to read that for a while now. But this is Ian Baruma. And this book is also coming out March 17th from Penguin Press. And this is Stay Alive, Berlin, 1939 to 45. Look at that cover. Wow, that says a lot right there. There's some action happening in this photo. Okay. Let me see here. I'm going to hold this up. Bard College professor and author Ian Baruma is known for his scholarly work centered on World War II. In his new book, Stay Alive, he brings to light an astonishing account of life under a murderous regime amid a great city's descent into utter annihilation. Essential reading for understanding what everyday life looked like during this horrific period. Exactly. So the book opens in 1939, and Berlin, a city known for its artistic sophistication and sexual freedom, has been under Nazi rule for 6 years, where its 4.3 million residents have made their accommodations to the regime, more or less. When war broke out with Poland in September, what was most striking at first was how little changed. People continued to play sports, went to the movies, dined in restaurants, and danced. That is, of course, unless you were Jewish. Then life, already hard and shaped by anti-Semitism, would quickly become an existential fight. Buruma gives tender but unflinching attention to the Jewish experience in Berlin during the war, weaving its thread into the broader fabric of this vivid mosaic of urban life turned upside down. He delves into a vast trove of primary sources, including a number of interviews with living survivors. In doing so, Stay Alive emerges as a study in extremes: depravity and resilience, moral blindness and moral courage, pious bigotry and unchecked hedonism in the face of starvation and disease. Wow, this sounds very powerful. By 1943, with the German defeat at Stalingrad, ordinary life in Berlin would acquire an increasingly desperate cast. The last 3 years of the war in Berlin are truly a descent into hell, with a deranged regime in freefall and relentless pounding from Allied bombers. Sorry, the way this is written, it's not me speaking, it's just the way this pub sheet's written. Needs a little cleanup. Let me try to parse this for you. Okay, the common greeting of Berliners was now not Auf Wiedersehen or Heil Hitler, but Bleiben Sie übrig, or stay alive. By the war's end, Berlin's population had fallen by nearly half and was left in rubble and smoke. In 2020, Buruma became interested in dedicating a book to Berlin during these transformative years after revisiting a tin box containing hundreds of letters, photos, and postcards once belonging to his father, Leo, a Dutch student conscripted into forced labor in the war economy along with 400,000 other imported workers. Buruma weaves Leo's own story of working in a factory that made brakes and machine guns from the spring of 1943 to just a few days before the war ended in May 1945 throughout the book, giving it a personal dimension. The book, however, is by no means sentimental. Again and again, we see that most people do not do the hard thing most of the time. Most people go along. Today, it's a lesson that has not lost its timeliness. That I will agree with. Fascinating. Okay. Oh, this is going to be good. I'm going to have to go look for that finished copy because I want to dig into this. Oh, my goodness. So much good stuff coming out. I'd still like to review it for someone. Someone wants to offer me the commission. I'll write the review. Bring it. So Stay Alive, Ian Buruma, Berlin, 1939 to 1945, from Penguin Press, comes out March 17th. All right, moving along. This is another great book. I can't wait. Oh, I just love history. All eras. It's just so fascinating. All right, so this is coming from Viking Books, and this will be out March 24th. This is Seven Sisters, Captives and Rebels in Revolutionary Europe's First Family by Veronica Buckley. Look at that. It's kind of a big baby here. A little bit of a chunkster. Seven Sisters. All right. So what are we looking at? I don't think I have the pub sheet right here. All right. It begins with a quote. Others make war. You, happy Austria, marry. 1 second. This unofficial dictum had kept the Habsburgs at the peak of power for centuries. But by 1764, the dynasty was in a precarious position. After a difficult accession and 2 lengthy wars, the Empress Maria Theresa faced enormous debts, restive subjects, and shaken political ties. True to Habsburg tradition, she sought the remedy in marriage alliances, and her arsenal was full. Her 7 daughters, Mariana, Marie Christine, Elizabeth, Amalie, Josepha, Carolina, and Antonia, were to serve as her pawns in the ruthless game of 18th century dynastic politicking. Delivered to the grandest or dingiest courts in Europe, they made their difficult and even dangerous ways. Mariana, the seeker, the grande dame, Marie Christine, Elizabeth, the malicious, disfigured beauty. Wow. Fractious and wayward Amelie of Parma. The tragic bride, Josepha. Carolina of Naples, Napoleon's relentless enemy, and Antonia, youngest of the seven, sacrificial offering to the gods of revolution, and oh my goodness, and better known to history as Marie Antoinette. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is going to be a fun read. Oh, I want to read this right now. I love these type of books. Like Nancy Goldstone, I think, did one with Victoria's daughters or something. There was a couple. I just love it. I just love reading about these women and royalty and their stories and the sisters and all their different personalities and what happened to them. Meticulously researched and animated by the sisters' own memoirs and diaries and the almost daily letters traversing the continent, Seven Sisters reveals the drama and comedy in these exceptional yet all too human lives. It is a vivid portrait of a brilliant world collapsing in a fearful time. Let's see, what else has Veronica Buckley written? She has written 2 previous historical biographies. Oh, she wrote a biography of Christina, Queen of Sweden. I would like to check that out, actually. And then she also wrote The Secret Life of Louis XIV. And she's done a bunch of other writing. Wow. It says here, she herself is one of 7 sisters. How cool is that? So this just sounds like a hoot, does it not? I can't wait to get into this one. March 24th, couple weeks here from Viking Books and Veronica Buckley. I cannot wait. All right, I have to prioritize which ones I'm going into first. Okay, and this is an interesting one. You know, I always like to bring you books that are kind of off the radar. This is a big book. This is a big history. So this book is coming out, publishing on March 24th from Liverite Publishing, or Liverite. And Liverite is an imprint of W.W. Norton, whom I love their books. Okay, I'm going to read from the pub sheet then. Are you guys ready for this? It's a very bright cover. So far, I mean, this is the arc, but this is called Darkology, Blackface and the American Way of Entertainment by Ray Lynn Barnes. Wow. It's going to be a big book. I mean, it's about 500 pages, maybe more with the index and everything else. But yes, Darkology, a whole history on blackface. Isn't that wild? All right, let me read to you a little bit from here. Darkology, from Princeton historian Ray Lynn Barnes, meticulously unravels the complex, subterranean, and all too often expunged history. I love that word, expunged. History of blackface in American society. Documenting how it shaped our country's politics, economics, and culture for nearly 2 centuries. The product of decades of archival research into networks of white supremacists, local and national, who've used blackface to amass and maintain power, Darkology provokes a necessary reckoning with America's past. By 1830, blackface, which caricatured ex-slaves for their supposed subservience and happy demeanor, had become a venomous cultural export into all corners of the country. Blackface theater soon segued into everyday amateur shows, with minstrelsy proliferating in Elks Clubs, churches, universities, and schools during Jim Crow, whose name derives from the practice's founding character. Beloved by presidents including FDR and Gerald Ford, how awful, blackface saturated 20th century America, permeating U.S. military bases abroad and World War II Japanese-American internment camps as an Americanization tool. Oh my God. Despite a 1950s backlash led by Black mothers protesting public school performances, 1960s college students from California to Vermont aggressively challenged legal bans and continued holding amateur shows for decades longer. And it shows whose construction, circulation, and handing down of racist stereotypes intergenerationally continue to impact our society today. With its gripping writing and penetrating archival research, Darkology is a landmark work of cultural and social history and an essential tool, as Barnes writes, to negate minstrelsy's power and weight on our country's soul. Wow. Wow, this is gonna, I bet you this one's gonna be, just because it's such an original topic, and I haven't seen a lot of books written about it, at least from like a scholarly academic historian perspective. So I'm guessing this one's gonna get widely reviewed, like Wall Street Journal, New York Times, that kind of stuff. We'll see. Some of this is just hard to look at, though. It's so shocking and just shameful. Yeah, I won't show you a lot of these pictures. They're just bad. All right. But Darkology, an important work of cultural and social history that we should all consider, you know? It's there. It was there, you know? But anyway, so Darkology by Raylan Barnes, coming out March 24th from Live Right. All right. Hang on, guys. We're coming to the giveaway book soon, all right? We're at 36 minutes. All right, and this is from Grand Central Publishing, Grand Central Publishing. This book is, did it already come out? No, it's coming out March 31st, end of the month. Do I have a pub sheet? Yes, I do. And this is The Wanderers. Trying to get the glare off of there. A story of exile, survival, and unexpected love in the shadow of World War II. And this is by Daniela Gerson. Thin volume here. Daniela Gerson and her wife, Talia Inlander, met at a picnic in Los Angeles, not knowing that 75 years earlier, their grandparents had left homes only blocks away from each other in a small Polish town and fled east to Ukraine. The Gersons and the Inlanders would go on a parallel odyssey of 5,000 miles to survive the Holocaust, one that would, after a deceitful loyalty test from Stalin, put them on cattle cars to a Soviet gulag, years in limbo in Central Asia, and would end after a decade on the run with new lives built on secrets and lies. Wow. For years, Daniela and Talia simply accepted this painful shared history as a sign that they were beshert. I don't know if that's Hebrew, beshert, which it means meant to be. Their family's refugee past fueled their work. Daniela as an immigration journalist, Talia an immigration attorney. But as Daniela uncovered more, she realized that their grandparents shared this escape path in the Soviet Union with most Polish Jews who survived, a group sometimes collectively called the Wanderers that is almost entirely absent from popular understanding of World War II. Wow. And unlike most Holocaust sagas that focus on the exceptionality of the Nazi genocide, theirs was also a universal story of refugees making impossible decisions when forced to seek safety, protect their children, and find new homes. A story that, to the dismay of the world, remains relevant each time a political upheaval wreaks havoc on individual lives. Part genealogical detective story, part gripping history, part contemporary reporting on war-torn territories, The Wanderers chronicles Daniela's journey to unearth this past with her wife and reveal its echoes in still contested lands from Ukraine to Israel. It is a groundbreaking narrative history and a meditation on how a home left behind and a desperate journey to survive reverberates across borders and through generations. Wow, I didn't realize this had such a personal story. And what are the coincidences, too, that these women meet and then they find out that their families have this kind of intertwined history. So very intriguing. Again, coming out at the end of the month from Grand Central Publishing, The Wanderers by Daniela Gerson. Fabulous. All right. Here we go. So I received, well, I'll just show you. I've got finished copies, and then yes, I do. Okay. I'm really excited about this book because this historian is great street cred. Many of you out there who love World War history, and especially like World War One, you will know the name Christopher Clark, the author of The Sleepwalkers, one of the best single volume histories on the beginning of the World War or World War One. Well, he's got a new book coming out. It's not as big and beefy as that one. And it comes out tomorrow, folks. So we're going to celebrate by doing a giveaway. Christopher Clark's new book is A Scandal in Königsberg. Look how thin. I could just read this on a Saturday afternoon. It's like not even 150 pages. Yeah, I could read that in a couple hours. I was just like, wow, he's got a brand new book out, and it's so small. All right, but let's see what it's about. I'm excited. Okay. And it is 1835 in Königsberg, Prussia, a city in the amber glow of the late Enlightenment, though with simmering tensions between Prussians and the French Napoleonic forces. Tensions set between reason and faith, the divine and science, and uniformity and divergence were some of the central themes of the decade. And it was against this backdrop that a scandal ensnared two clergymen, destroying their reputations, jobs, and standing in society. In 1835, Johann Ebel and George Diestel were tried with having started a cult that encouraged scandalous sexual behavior in women, including daughters of prestigious Prussian families, that had even caused the deaths of two young women from sexual exhaustion. The trial would absorb and polarize the city of Königsberg for half a decade and ruin the lives of its defendants. Despite their eventual legal exoneration, the historical moment it encapsulates a Europe reeling from the triumph and horror of a new industrial imperial era, struggling to decide what principle will reign in the aftermath of Enlightenment reason, is a fable for our present time of political, social, and existential disquiet. That's right. We are living in a time of existential disquiet. You remember that now. The great Cambridge historian Christopher Clark, known for his monumental study of the causes of the First World War, right, the Sleepwalkers, came across the files containing this story 3 decades ago. It has been swirling in his head since. So with A Scandal in Königsberg, Clark immerses us in a European history of exquisite miniature and a peerless lesson in the philosophical debates that animated the Western world at one of its great moments of transformation. Gripping and provocative, A Scandal in Königsberg articulates an unsettling antecedent for our most fiercely litigated contemporary questions of sexual identity, freedom of thought, and who gets to decide what constitutes the truth. Well, anything Christopher Clark writes, you know I'll be reading. Now, for all of my fair, beautiful viewers out there. Again, this comes out tomorrow, March 10th, from Penguin Press. I have 2, whoops. That's my sticky note to remember what I'm doing. These are my production notes, okay, people? This is how I run this channel. I am host, producer, director, writer. I am everything at this channel. Okay, I've got 2 advanced review copies, little paperback copies. So we're going to do a giveaway. Just comment below if you're interested. I'm going to say by this weekend, I'll stop kind of counting. Let's say Sunday the 15th. You have until then if you want to throw your name in. Just say I'm interested in A Scandal in Königsberg for the giveaway. And then what I do is I compile all the people in their names, and then I do a wheel thing online that randomly picks someone. And stay tuned, because how did I figure out how to do this? Because I will have to reply to you to say you won it, and I need your mailing address. Okay. Oh, actually, no, wait, I take that back. Oh, crap. I'm forgetting how I did this. You need to email me that you're into this giveaway. That's how we do it. Takes out a whole step. Sorry. Everyone, my business email address is on my About tab on my YouTube channel. Go to where it says About. Go down to where it says Business Email Address. Click on that, and that's my email address that you could reach me at for the History Shelf. You can always email me hi or anything. I think that's wonderful. I will get back to you as soon as I can. But email me, put the name of the book in the subject line, just say giveaway, interest, or whatever. And that way I have your email address, so that when I do the drawing, I can email you immediately and say you won and give me your mailing address. Okay. So this goes to my email address. I forgot how I did these giveaways. It's been that long since my last video. All right. So 2 lucky viewers will be getting copies. All right. Now, for my final book, I was so happy to get this. And this book also comes out tomorrow. It looks really good. And this is from the good folks at Farrar, Straus and Giroux, another one of my favorite publishers. This is Safe Passage. The Untold Story of Diplomatic Intrigue, Betrayal, and the Exchange of American and Japanese Civilians by Sea during World War II by Evelyn Iritani. All right. This is marked as a history/political science for the category. But I got the finished copy, which I'm thrilled for. So I can, I love photographs. I love the old photographs. Got to have that in a history book, I think. All right, so let's see here. Let me see what the pub sheet says. All right, An Untold Story. Oh, well, that is the subtitle. Okay. In the fall of 1943, during some of the Pacific Theater's bloodiest battles, the United States and Japan pulled off a diplomatic coup, the exchange of civilians caught on the wrong side of the battlefield after Pearl Harbor. Nearly 1,500 Allied civilians trapped in Asia, mostly Americans, sailed through dangerous waters to an Indian port city where they were traded for an equivalent number of Japanese immigrants and their families sent from the Americas. The fate of the more than 10,000 Americans left behind rested on the success of this endeavor. In Safe Passage, the award-winning journalist Evelyn Iritani reveals the Herculean efforts of the American diplomat James Keeley to engineer these wartime exchanges despite great resistance from within and outside his government. The shipboard conflicts among passengers, including missionaries, revelers, and sharp-tongued journalists, and the moral compromises involved in securing their safe passage. Faced with too few bodies to trade and desperate to free Americans from perilous conditions, the United States uprooted and repatriated Japanese citizens of Latin America, sometimes against their will. While Japanese imprisoned in camps, many of them American citizens, were forced to choose between expulsion to a war zone or an uncertain future behind barbed wire. Good Lord. We haven't come very far, have we? The result is a revelatory account of the hurdles to pursuing humanitarian action in wartime. History has never been more relevant. Is it just me? I mean, I've been reading history all my life, ever since I started reading like serious history in my teens. But doesn't it feel like it's never been more important and relevant? I know it's like, depending on what era of history you're reading, but especially in like the last century, doesn't it feel, actually last 2 centuries, let's take it back to the early 1800s. It just feels like we're living through history all over again. But Safe Passage is out tomorrow, and I'm happy to have this beautiful finished copy from Farrar, Straus and Giroux. And I want to share the wealth, and if you don't mind an ARC and you're interested, I have another one I'm giving away. So I have one copy of Safe Passage and the advanced review reader copy. So again, email me at my business email address, which is on the About tab, and be sure to put this in your subject line so I know. And I'll say about Sunday, Monday, I'm going to pull the winners, and I'll be contacting 3 lucky people. 2 for A Scandal in Königsberg and 1 for Safe Passage. All right, guys. Well, that does it for March. Again, it wasn't a lot. I had a lot in February, and the pile for April history is nuts, and it keeps climbing. However, I still have a bunch of new books that came in that don't really fit into the monthly kind of release thing, but I'm going to show those to you very soon. 2 big stacks. So stay tuned. So, even if these aren't the next video I make won't be the March titles, but they'll be very new releases. I mean, they had just come out basically in the last few months. So stay tuned for that. Let me know what other books kind of got you excited in this video. Sorry for my my sleepiness. I know that my eyes are very heavy and I'm a little blotchy. Boy, that dang daylight savings time change really screws me up. All right, guys, thanks for watching me here at the History Show. I should edit this out, but I won't. You want to know why? I can hear Martine yelling in the next room about something. She's making a funny joke. Anyway, she's probably telling me to tell you something. Anyway, on to the next video, guys. Thanks for watching here at the History Shelf, and I hope to see you again real soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.